It's your boy Gibbons here.
And I'm Will C.
Welcome to another episode of the Acromis Podcast, episode 114. We want to thank you for joining us. If you're listening, it means you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you can hear a podcast. If you are watching us, it can only mean one thing and one thing only. It means you are on YouTube. So before you do anything else, we need you to do three quick things. If you do not mind, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You see, the next time that you hop on YouTube and you're scrolling through your feed and you specifically type in motivational or inspirational podcast into your YouTube search bar, you will find none other than the Acromis Podcast. And most of all, we'll see.
It's free to do so.
That's unbelievable.
Free to do that. Yeah. To like our content, subscribe to it, turn on your notification bell so you receive the content first. And also, I'm going to add one more to that. If you could please be so kind to share it as well, because each one teach one is what we're about. So help us teach someone and give them some gems like we're providing to you.
Absolutely. What a week it has been, ladies and gents. As you know, last week on episode 113 of the Acromis Podcast, we talked about building your business offline. If you missed that episode, don't fret at all. Just pause this, go check out the latest video besides this one, episode 113. It's an incredible video. And of course, as we mention each and every week, we want to ensure that what we are talking about on these podcasts, you are actually going out there and doing. So proof is in the pudding, at least for me, we'll see. This week when it came to trying to build a business offline, I reserved a spot at the Fit Expo out in Anaheim, California. It's for August 4th and 6th. Now, there's not even a guarantee that I'll be able to make that trip. However, I wanted to be able to make sure that we take action, that we're moving forward, and that we are working on doing something outside of just the online media that we've been using. So this is just a step for us to go outside of what we've done in the past, where you can meet connections that are actually in the fitness realm, in the wellness realm, so that we can be all better connected with you guys as well. So that's the one thing I did this week. We'll see. It's a way for us to expand our business, to expand our network. And as I said, you know, I would even say I took a bit of a risk there and bet on myself, which is episode 112. If you have not listened to that yet. And again, I don't even know if I would be able to make it, but putting in that reservation makes it real. It makes it more than just an idea, more than just a dream or a thought. It makes it an actual thing, a tangible asset. So this week, I hope you guys have done something similar, whether it's booking a vacation for your family or working on your business outside of working online. Something we're hoping that you did this week is take action, because that is the only way you're going to be successful in this life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everything you do in life, for the most part, requires a form of action, right? So you're doing it instinctively most of the time without even realizing it. Just breathing is a choice. So if you really think about it that way, you could just decide on what it is that you want to be proactive about, and that you're conscious in, and the actions that you're going to take to get towards that. Having said that, I'm sure a lot of you have had a lot of decision makers do this week that require those sort of actions. So we want to keep that going. We want to keep it moving into we move into transitioning into this week's episode, and just making sure that you're, capitalizing on these gems that's being shared with you as best you can, and also again sharing it so that we can continue to spread the message.
That is most important. We'll see. Sharing. I think sharing is not only caring, but it helps us all out, especially if we're sharing gems. We're sharing good news, good words, just something inspirational, even a couple times a week could help you tremendously. It makes I would say, we'll see, it changes your mindset. You know, it really, what it does is it allows you to start thinking differently. It allows you to maybe push yourself in a different direction, a direction that you may not have been comfortable with in the past. I think what it does is it allows you to grow a little bit. And as we all know in our lives, growth is the most important thing you can do if you are trying to reach your purpose. I think without growth, without you being able to acknowledge growth, without you being able to experience it, you'll never get to where you truly want to be. you may make progress, but it is not going to be the progress that is meant for you. So on today's episode of the Acromas podcast, we wanted to discuss how we can develop a growth mindset, not just an ordinary growth mindset, one for success, one that would help you to go beyond your limitations, one that would help you get a little bit closer to your purpose. And that is why we're all here, right, guys? So let's dive on in. We'll see. I know I always go back to these childhood examples, but I can only go back to my experience, right? I mean, this is part of what we do. It's all experience based. It's all what we've done in the past and some of the lessons that we've had to learn along the way that made up this podcast. And we hope you enjoy this episode as well. But back when I was younger, of course, football, lifting, all of those things played a major role in my life. But as you also know this, we'll see it didn't start that way. And I'm sure it's the same for you guys out there watching this. There might be something you're great now. There's something that you're probably great at now. There's something that you've taken a lot of time to hone your skills and become better at something. And it is now your passion. It is now something that you can find fulfillment in. And it may not have been that the entire time. But in order for you to discover that, in order for you to know that exists, you actually had to try, you had to push, you had to grow. So when I started out in football, we'll see, I had no idea how to throw, how to catch, where to run, how to run, play calling, positions. I knew nothing. But what I did know is that I had something that some of the other kids didn't at that time, and that was the size and the quickness of the feet. And I'd probably say soccer helped me out with that. But having those, I would say, God-given abilities put me above the competition, even if everything else about my skill level was just completely rookie, completely green, something that I've never done before. And I knew for myself, in order for me to get better, in order for me to really dive into this sport, I had to learn. I had to get my ass kicked repeatedly by people who were bigger and smaller than me. And that was a very humbling thing. But as I continued to grow, I understood that this game itself could bring success for me, and not just on the field, but in life. There's so many lessons that we learn from in sports. We'll see teamwork, leadership, accountability. All of those things can help a person grow in life, even before they get to the stage where all of that is required, whether you're a parent or you're running a business or you're an employee somewhere. All of those characteristics come into play at some point. And if you've had practice prior to getting to that point, you would be in a much better position to handle those challenges, those hardships, and those big opportunities that you probably did not believe you were ready for at that specific time. So I would say growing up, football is something that really allowed me to focus on that growth mindset, and put me in a better position to success, both on the field and, as you can see, with business in the Acromas podcast. But even beyond that, we'll see. And for our audience that I would say typically listens to us, because we do have a fitness side of Acromas, I would be the gym, right? We'll see. I know a couple of years ago, man, before the injuries started piling up and other things, I knew you were outside running 5Ks like you were just breathing. I mean, it was something I was absolutely amazed. I personally could not believe it. But man, seeing you go through that, seeing you grow, seeing you, turn into someone else, to absolutely find your purpose and to turn into someone else, that someone else was you the entire time. And being able to see that growth from you, man, it was really motivational for me. And I hope for those out there who have seen his journey on either our fitness page or his personal page, you've been able to see that as well. It's well documented, and it's to be appreciated and to be modeled. It's something that you could also do in your life. And I would say that for those out there who are listening, who are in the fitness space, whether you're young or you're old, you're a rookie or you're an expert at exercising, you weren't always at the point that you are in now. And I think sometimes we got to pause to really go back to see where we started. How did we actually get to the very beginning of what we found would actually be our purpose, what would propel us into a different stratosphere that we weren't aware of at the time. And I think in order for you to really pause and see that, you have to reflect on where you've been in order to understand that, you know, where you are now, you only dreamed of before. And sometimes because life is so quick, we we don't really sit down to reflect on what we've done, and reflect on where we've been and how far we've come. I mean, gosh, we'll see. Yesterday's dream is today's reality, right?
Yeah.
Episode one's dream is episode 114's reality. It's what we believed we could become. And that is the beauty of having a growth mindset for success. It's understanding that there is going to be a better time in my life because the time I'm living in now was better than it was before. So I want to say that for those out there who are looking to develop that growth mindset for yourself, just understand that there are going to be challenges along the way, and it's important that you acknowledge those challenges. The opportunity that you have to see them, to notice them, to acknowledge them would allow you to work on them quicker, because now you know that there's something that's there that you need to accomplish, that you need to get by in order to continue to grow. Your purpose should guide you. That should be the one thing that is propelling you to move forward. Understanding what your purpose is, understanding what your long-term goals are, even your mini milestones, is imperative to understand how you can continue to grow and develop that mindset that you need for growth. And we'll see, even with the 21-3 method, even with your journey, my journey, everything that we've done with Acromis, the one thing that we always talk about is being realistic, not just with ourselves, but with everybody else around us, with the reality that we're faced with every day, the challenges that we have to overcome, the hurdles. It's important to know that this is all part of the long game, right? I always say, man, if there was nothing else in this world that I would be doing right now that would not pay me, would not sustain me, what would it be? It would be this, right? I think when you're doing something and you're doing it without payment, and you're doing it at an incredible level. I truly believe that it is something that you're not only passionate for, but you probably were meant to do this in the first place in some way, shape, or form. So I think it's important for everybody out there to be realistic of where you are now, where you are going, and where you're going to be in the future, and just continue to build through that, man. And I think we'll see, at least for me, that would be ways, those would be ways that we could share with our audience to allow them to understand what that growth really looks like for them, how they can harness it, how they can put it into action in their own lives if they haven't done so already. Because as I mentioned, recognizing or acknowledging what you've been through allows you to understand the amount of growth that you already have. So continue to allow yourself to be successful, and grow in that way. And we'll see. I would say, man, I'd want to turn it over to you to see how it has felt for you to develop a growth mindset. And if there's, any advice based on what you've been able to accomplish, even during COVID, during some of the hardest times in your life, how were you able to use that growth mindset for the success that you've had?
Um, First, I want to say a great way of explaining and putting it into perspective. It's not but so much I can add on to that. Honestly, you touched on a lot of pointers that I would have shared myself. I would just have to say, I guess, from the perspective of what you asked, um, I think it comes to the point of like being in your knowingness of where you are in life. As you said, relying on the experiences that you've had, reflecting on them. Um, being honest with yourself, being accountable for your actions and the decision makings and the choices that led to where you are today, and hopefully in the trajectory of where you're planning to go. But I think if anything is to have been learned from my personal experience is the strength of disciplining your mind. That knowing there will be obstacles and adversities that you're going to face, that's a part of life, and just uh, preparing yourself as best you can so that you can be able to grow through them as you're going through them. Ultimately, along the lines of trying to achieve your maximum goal of whatever that looks like to you. So if you're someone such as myself who has been for the most part very consistent with the last few years of like disciplining your health and like getting better with that and taking care of yourself, and unfortunately you had some physical ailments and some medical issues you had that kind of came up in between it, and the physicality of how much strain and stress you put on your body kind of caught up. You kind of want to make sure that your mind is still, your tempo is still strong enough to allow yourself the proper uh, structure and how to recover correctly, knowing when that you are in a good enough position to start executing your rehabilitating purposes of like getting you back on track to where you want to go. Because like in most things, when things don't really go our way in life, we kind of just, most people just kind of, it's a fight or flight scenario. So in most cases, folks are just ready to just be done with it. Not necessarily saying you're a quitter, but sometimes when things get tough, people crack under pressure. Pressure cracks pipes, you know. But in some cases, if you're strong enough, you can build diamonds. So you can really learn what you have and what you got when you're going through experiences in life. So I'd say welcome them. Don't go looking for trouble. Don't go looking for things that come your way. But sometimes things are events happen, unfortunately, in a way that you least suspect them to. Most cases, um, that I think is where you could draw a lot of strength from, Jay. Just really harnessing, what you've been through prior, the experiences that you came through that you probably didn't think you could make it through, and at least with the knowledge that you have, it allows you to make better preparation and the choices that you're going to make and how to deal with those things, so that you can prevail and come out of it better. In most cases, a lot of the times, you think about it, most people, especially like an older generation, would like to give that knowledge back to the younger generation through their experiences. And I think that's part of the cycle of life of what we do as people. We hopefully can pass and utilize that information we've had to share so someone else can learn from what we've done and maybe do it better. Same thing goes, like for example, with football, right? Like you see, like a Tom Brady, like someone like that, for example, the experiences that he's had, the career he's had, the success he's had. If he wanted to decide to go on to be a coach or something of some fashion, there's a lot of knowledge that could be passed down to the next generation in some fashion, for someone else to come along and do it better. That's kind of like the mindset you have of life, but you've had to go through the experiences, the ups, the downs, and you just keep moving forward. You keep pushing forward. You don't stop because you still have life in you. So as long as you have life in you, you still have a choice. You still have an opportunity to take the actions you need, plan out properly, and execute. If you desire for things to be a certain kind of way, you never really get too complacent on where you are when you still have time left in this world. So for me, I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I've had to learn. I'm still learning with it, is the ability to harness my experiences to allow me to continue to manifest growth, and be conscious and accountable for it. But don't rest on my laurels for because of the experience I've had. If anything, it's made me stronger. It's made me more stern and disciplined in how I think, how I approach situations. So if I'm faced with something that's similar, I have more options and more tools in my shed on how to deal with it, and that's life. So I think I would probably just leave it in around those terms, Jay.
Yeah. Man, the one thing I can take away from just growth in general, we'll see. And it goes right in conjunction with what you said. It starts with the foundation. And we can't stress enough just how important a strong foundation is for the rest of your life. Because here's the thing, right? We all have challenges. We all go through very, very difficult hardships at times in life. But if we have that strong foundation, for some it's God, it's religion, for some it's meditation, it's something. There's something that allows you to rebuild yourself, not from scratch, but from something that you fully understand you can stand firm on, that is also beneficial to your life, to your health. And that is the one thing that we typically go through or go to when life just is, it's just taking us out, man. It's having its way with us. And I think it's important to always have that foundation and know it's there, know that you can stand on it, even if the rest of the house is collapsing. So, what you should take away from this is to know that you have been somewhere before where you are now. And at that time, you were struggling. At that time, you didn't believe you can get through that, right? You were struggling to survive. Forget living. You were trying to make it to the next day. And now here you are. You've propelled further towards your purpose. You are so far beyond that challenge that you overcame. And I bet a lot of us, we don't take inventory of this. We've probably overcome thousands of challenges that we can't even name, but they were all there. You got through them all, and here you stand strong. So what you should know is that that growth mindset was already in you. You just had to acknowledge it. You had to recognize it. You had to see it and use it to propel you towards success. That is it. I know saying that is it makes it seem like it's easy. It's not. It is very difficult. It's very trying. It'll take your energy. It'll take your time. But if it is worth it, you will love the journey. You will absolutely love the journey. And then the result is just the icing on the cake. But during that journey, you learn everything about yourself. You learn more than you knew that you were possibly capable of. And that is the beauty of growth. That's the beauty of knowing what your foundation is. That's the beauty of knowing what your purpose is and how you're going to get there. I think as long as everybody has a direction, they have a plan, they have a purpose, they know where they want to go, and some may not know how to get there. That's absolutely fine. That's what life is. Life is knowing how to get, life is learning, not knowing, learning how to get to that point. That's all it is. So let's continue to grow. Let's continue to learn. Let's continue to propel ourselves towards success. But before you propel yourself at this very second, of course, we need to pass this over back to you. Have you developed a growth mindset? Tell us your journey. The best answer that we get from you guys, whether it's in comments or DMs or calling, my number's not out there, but I'm sure you have somebody's. Reach out somehow. Let us know. Tell us your story. The best, the best response will be featured on a YouTube short. It'll be featured at the beginning of our next Acromas podcast episode. And also, you will be able to get 50% off of anything in the Acroma store. A couple weeks ago, Michael Bloomer won. He's been able to go through the store and see what he wanted, see how he can let other people know how much he's worth it, how much his family's worth it. And we want to do the same for you. So take advantage of this opportunity to grow with us, to grow as a community, to build with each other. And I can 100% guarantee you we will all be better because of it.
Oh, absolutely. And growing with us is a choice, just like many other things. And you chose to be here through this entire episode. So we thank you for choosing you and choosing us along the way. We really appreciate it.
We really do, Will C. And to choose us means that you're listening. It's probably on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, or wherever you were hearing this podcast. If you were watching this podcast, I'm going to help you do something really quick, especially those who have been here and they still do not know what we're about. ACHROMOUS. You can find us on all those places. If you're looking at us, it means one thing and one thing only. You are looking at us on YouTube. I'm going to need you to do these three things before you do anything else. If you did not do this at the beginning of this episode, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. The next time you hop on YouTube, I'm hoping this algorithm is fixed. I'm hoping that when you search, you're not seeing religious stuff or you're not seeing motivational videos that have nothing to do with the Acromas podcast. What you need to do is type in the Acromas podcast in that search bar. I guarantee you'll find it. You'll love it. You'll see this episode because you were wondering how much more you can grow to get towards the success that you've been waiting for your entire life. And most of all, we'll see.
It is free to do so. It's free to achieve that by liking our content, turning on that notification bell, Jay just said, sharing it. Each one teach one is our motto, guys. We appreciate you if you could do all these things and help us drop gems across the world.
across the world, man, across the universe. Look, there are aliens probably watching this, or at least they will be in the next 100 years. If YouTube is still chilling, hey, we knew you guys were here. We knew you were coming, and we're glad you joined as well. So until next Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, J.H. Gibbons.
And we'll see.
Hey.